Warning, the following podcast contains words and phrases that can and will upset your grandma. Viewer discretion is advised. Podcast. It's a podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome you personally, you right there, to another episode of Fries with Vinny. Today is very special because today I want to celebrate 1 year of Fries with Vinny, even though technically we started kind of late April technically. But you know what? That's not important. You know what is important? Is that we have a year, give or take, of Fridays with Vinny, the show where I still don't know what the heck I'm doing, but I'm not convinced that's important, right? Like I think if I had like any form of all about like, you know, marketing this show, then maybe it would be a problem. But as it is, I'm not too concerned because I don't even know what this show is, and I don't think any of you do either. Anywho, this week on the podcast, Fridays with Vinny celebrates an entire year of closing out work weeks and coping with crippling anxiety. Conspiracy theorist and InfoWars founder Alex Jones has declared bankruptcy after allegedly raising over $1 million in fundraising campaign, but knowing him, that was just a bit. After assuring the public that they had no interest in overturning Roe v. Wade, Supreme Justices are apparently planning on overturning Roe v. Wade. And Marjorie Taylor Greene says that Christian churches that help refugees are actually being controlled by the devil. So, I guess Satan really was a nicer one all along. But first, I need a minute. So it's no small secret that I have a bit of a love-hate relationship when it comes to conspiracy theories. While I sometimes enjoy the process of debunking people's wild allegations about pizza shops being a front for child trafficking or Michelle Obama actually being a trans woman, it sometimes becomes frustrating to feel like the only one who bothers fact-checking the memes they see on Facebook. Typically, the process will go something like this. I'll hear someone make a wild statement or see a meme they shared on social media, and I'll immediately dismiss it as another excuse for bigotry or just downright bullshit in general. Then later, I'll feel guilty for not being open-minded and go to the trouble of researching and claim to find out that it is indeed bullshit. Something interesting to see, however, is where these conspiracy theories get their start. It's like a game of telephone where one possibly legit scientific study leads you to a wild conclusion regarding some upper ruling class in the world who wants to take all your kids and make them gay. A great example of this would be a conspiracy I heard about recently claiming that sunscreen was turning kids trans. And while I immediately doubted the validity given the fact that most of the population uses sunscreen and most are, contrary to what the right would tell you, not trans, but after piecing together the rumors, I finally found out what all the fuss was about: a little chemical called oxybenzone, or bensphenine 3. I apologize if I'm not pronouncing that correctly. Essentially, this is a compound that forms crystals on the skin and is used to block and absorb UV rays. And while the main meme claims that it is a, quote, known endocrine disruptor linked to reduced sperm count in men and endometriosis in women, is more or less unfounded. What I did find interesting, however, is that they actually went to the trouble to cite a number, namely that 96% of the population has oxybenzone in their bodies. So with this being something I could actually verify, I went to the trouble of scouring around, and eventually I found that this study that was published in July of 2008, which tested the urine samples of about 2,500 people in the US looking for oxybenzone, and did in fact discover it in 96% of the results. Now, while this particular sample size isn't the best for a study making a claim about the entire US population as a whole, it does bring up a fact that there are some legitimate concerns about using oxybenzone as a sunscreen. You see, oxybenzone does in fact seep through the skin a bit, and in addition to being harmful to ocean life, thus the reason for the ban in Hawaii, it has been shown to have some effects on hormones and reproduction in a study on rats. But even in that study where oxybenzone was administered orally, the effect was still pretty minimal. To even reach the amount of oxybenzone needed for the rats to show considerable changes in hormones, you would need to apply sunscreen in your entire body twice a day, every day for 35 years. So no, sunscreen is not contributing to any transgender epidemic. But as usual, these kinds of conspiracy theories just remind me how little people who tout them actually care about these kinds of issues. If you really wanted to learn about this stuff, you could pretty easily get to where you had a layman's ability to read these studies and understand what they're actually trying to say. But the reality is that the people who spread these lies don't actually care about the science, and instead are looking for every opportunity to be able to back up their bigotry, and if they can use a real scientific study to do that, it's even better. I think that's what pisses me off when it comes to medical conspiracy theories, because whether it's something harmful like fake cancer treatments or trans bigotry, or something completely harmless like essential oils or those stupid 32-ounce water bottles, there's always someone sitting around waiting to make a fortune off of people that aren't equipped to fact check the claims being made to them, because unlike the earth being flat or 9/11 being an inside job, there isn't a quick yes or no answer or a Google search away. Call it nuance or just the fact that the human body is still a bit of a mystery in many ways, but it seems to me like we need to start teaching more students in school how to properly read scientific essays. Otherwise, this bullshit is going to just keep on spreading and continue to pad the pockets of some of the most corrupt assholes in America. Alright, friends, families, nemesises, acquaintances, welcome back to Fridays with Vinny, and happy 1-year anniversary to the show. Yay! Let's give it a round of applause. We made it. We made it a year. Still doing this dumb, stupid show. Hope you all are doing well. Hope you all had a great week. I had an interesting week. I had a weird, I had a decent start to him, but once again, I kind of find myself fighting off anxiety and panic attacks while, trying to stay productive. And it's not an easy thing to do. Just this past Wednesday, I guess technically it started like Tuesday evening, but I ended up having it was all day Wednesday. I was just trying to stop having a panic attack, which isn't a great way to spend a day. And that's the thing. Now that my work schedule has kind of changed and become less reliable, at least I can have these kind of recovery days, but at the same time, I always feel like I'm just wasting time, and it helps that I know, most of the days I know what needs done, and if I have a list already made, it makes it easy to make progress. But I don't. It's still it gets it's a pain when you have no motivation and don't feel like doing anything besides laying around all day, But the weird thing is that after Wednesday, Thursday was a really good day, so I'm thinking. Whatever I needed to recover from, I got recovered from pretty well, and now I'm feeling good. I'm feeling funky fresh. I had a really good productive week as far as what I got done goes, and especially these last 2 days, Thursday and Friday, got a lot done. Got a lot done at work. And now I'm gonna see if I can't get some stuff done around the house. It's a pain because I have a toddler and a baby. And I don't feel right about Jana being the only one taking care of them. But at the same time, somebody's gotta get this housework. Somebody's got to get this yard work done. It's spring now. Spring has sprung, my friends, and I'm happy about that. But also, I got a lot to do, and it will not stop raining every other day. You finally get it all dried out, and it's like, nope, you got rain, which is good. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to bite the hand that feeds me, because I know you need the moisture, because otherwise, we're gonna have another summer where it's all dry, and you're gonna have forest fires every other week. But gosh freaking dang it, I don't really want to deal with it right now. I just want to be able to get my yard done, but whatever. What do you do? I don't. Also, in other news, I don't want to jinx it, but I have submitted all the stuff I need for college, so theoretically, I will officially be going back to school this fall, which is exciting for me. I'm not gonna lie, I'm looking forward to it. This is something that I, if you asked me 2 years ago, it would have been like, no way. Whereas now it's like, I'm actually gonna do this. I'm actually gonna get to do this. It's crazy. So that's, what? It makes me happy. It makes me happy a little bit. Granted, I'm gonna be working my tail off for the next probably 8 years ish. But I'm hoping as time goes on, I get better at managing time. I've been doing better. Problem is, you get better at managing time, and I'm like, that means I can do more. I can do more. I mean, I still want to do YouTube videos, so that's gonna be a pain. I'm still planning on doing the show, so that's gonna be something else on my workload. If I miss a few weeks here and there, you guys know what's going on. Vinny is you're gonna be a busy boy. But I thing about it is, like, the transcript especially made me nervous because I ended up I had to kind of remake it because my old one was not in good condition. I didn't have a digital copy anywhere. So I ended up refilling it out, and I forgot to put the grades on it. So it showed like an accumulative GPA of 0.6, out of 4, which not great. But I as far as I know, they have the actual one now, which had actual grades on it. So you have an actual GPA now. So that's good, I think. Maybe. Yeah. I'll let you guys know. I'll keep you guys in the loop. But I don't know. That's the thing. Doing your own transcript just makes you nervous because you're just like, what if maybe I should like put my grades like kind of lowish. Because I don't want them to think I'm lying and question stuff, because most of this stuff is stuff I can't back up. Because that's the thing, man. Homeschooling is just like, it's in many ways it just comes down to being really good at bullshitting your way through life. Which, I mean, it's not the worst lesson in the world, because like I remember like when I did the Christian astronomy podcast I was able to accomplish a lot just by acting like I was smart or knew what I was doing, so long as nobody came along and tested my knowledge, or, anyone who actually knew what I was talking about was actually talking to me, and they'd be like, no, you're making this stuff up. You don't know what you're talking about. But nice thing about that community is they are not the biggest when it comes to questioning things. But yeah. I mean, I'm kind of glad I stopped doing that kind of stuff, because like faking it till you make it really only gets you so far. At a certain point, I mean, you gotta put some effort into actually not bullshitting every situation. You know what I mean? Like at a certain point, you gotta do actual learning. That way, you actually know what you're talking about instead of making it up. It's just like in the moment, everyone wants to come across like they know everything, and I still have trouble with that. Where I'll say something that, if I think about it for long enough, then I'm like, that's dumb. That doesn't make any sense. And a lot of times people will buy it, but when they don't, you feel like an idiot and you look like an idiot. But whatever. Everyone's just trying to prove everyone else an idiot so they can look better. Am I any different? Absolutely not. But I think that's why I tend to like doing like research about pseudoscience and like these conspiracy theories. Because for so long I was either open or I was skeptical towards different claims, and I was just based off of any preconceived notions I already had regarding those topics. If you told me there was evidence for evolution, I'd laugh it off and say something about explosions creating universes. That can't happen. Does the bomb in Japan, did that create anime? I don't think so. I mean, it kind of indirectly did, but that's beside the point, Or if you said, say you said 9/11 was an inside job, I might be a bit put off by the notion, but I don't remember really arguing too much against it. If you told me that the world was flat, I'd look for the nearest exit, but I didn't really have any data or reasons to back up what I personally believed. It was just what I'd been told, and that always bugged me. So, then I took the time to find out what the evidence for these things actually were. And, I'm still surprised to this day at how much, even here recently, I found out things I believe which were completely wrong. And I think it's changing your mind, like being able to change your mind is something I think everyone should test themselves on every now and then, and it's difficult to do because like if I thought I was wrong about something, I'd examine the evidence and my own beliefs regarding it until I came to a conclusion which I felt was sound. So it's not like I choose to believe something that's not true. You can choose to ignore evidence, or you can choose to dismiss other opinions that people have and say, nope, yeah, it's wrong. It's wrong. But like, if you actually thought you were wrong, I can't imagine anybody believing something that they thought was wrong. The most I can think of is like maybe someone it's not important to them, so they don't bother questioning it. But yeah, that's something that like Janet doesn't really understand. Like a while back, I was watching like this flat earther documentary on Netflix, and she kind of thought that I was like watching it to make fun of people, but like I legitimately want to know why, what people believe and why they believe it. If it's a flat earther, I want to know how the heck did you get to that conclusion? And also I think it's really fascinating how we can show that the earth is round without even having to go to space, And I don't know. I don't know what the limit should be when it comes to like respect of others' beliefs. When you should back off and when there should actually be some evidence required, Because if your beliefs are completely based on a gut feeling, I'll try not to hold it against you. But for a lot of my life, for so much of it, evidence was a really important thing for me. That's why I can't even begin to imagine just believing something because of because of some sense of that thing's rightness. Like I just feel like this is right. It feels good to me, It's like, really? It's like, it's the same as like people that believe things because they're convenient. It's like, how can you do that? I cannot physically imagine doing that. It's not that I don't have like a problem necessarily with people believing things. I can't understand when people believe things without any good reason. And don't get me wrong. I'm sure there are people who believe the exact same things as me, but believe them for a bad reason. I still think they're right. I think that's just whether or not you're right is kind of a coincidence. It's beside the point. I think the reason for why you believe things is probably just as important as, or even more important than what you believe. But anyway, let's move on, boys. Let's move on to the news. It's news time, baby. So a tiny bit of good news for my mental sanity. Mr. Alex Jones, the man responsible for one of the biggest garbage factories in the world, has filed for bankruptcy. And more specifically, I guess, his company, InfoWars, has filed for bankruptcy, which was kind of surprising for me to hear about on a couple different levels. Because, like, first off, Alex Jones, he literally makes his money off of people's anxieties, And, a lot of these conspiracy nutters and these preppers, they get their man supplements and their prepper supplies from his company, That's where they go. That's where they go to get their stuff. So it's like, I remember Alex Jones, a lot of the people who worked for him, it seemed like he was nervous about, Trump becoming president because he made so much goddamn money off of people during Obama's presidency because people were scared. They were scared. They were just like, Obama, he's either a Muslim or he's the Antichrist or he's a Democrat. And for those people, those were all three things were the worst thing in the world. And so, a lot of people were thinking, oh, he's going to get rid of guns, so let me stock up on guns. Or, oh, he's going to turn all our kids gay, so let me, there was just a lot of concern from these conservative types. And I think that Alex Jones really benefited from that. But in the Trump years, that really didn't go down for him. Like, instead, he was kind of enjoying this kind of almost, he came close to being like an insider. Like, he had Trump on InfoWars once. And then, Trump never really called on him again. Probably because they were too similar. They were both really annoying people. Annoying people just can't get along with annoying people. What do you do? But I don't know. It all makes kind of more sense once you see like the legal fees that he's accrued recently, thanks in part to some of the claims he made regarding the Sandy Hook shooting. One of the things. Okay, this is kind of a tangent, so I apologize. But one of the things that really pisses me off when it comes to Alex Jones is how many people just sideswipe the problematic things he says because he's just doing a bit to avoid getting killed off by the liberals. Like, he's saying a whole bunch of crazy things so that nobody takes him seriously, so that I guess the Democrats don't go and kill him to silence him. Which, like, first off, if he's joking half the time, how do you make that distinction? What, do you just like, are you going to tell me that all these Alex Jones fans just go and fact check every one of his claims and just like, oh, this is actually true. Oh, this one, he must have been doing a joke here. In which case, he could literally say anything. Like, it's the perfect catch-all. You can't argue against anything because it's all him doing a bit. If I point out, oh, that's kind of messed up what he said, and oh, it turned out he was wrong here. They're like, no, he was joking there. He was joking. You don't understand. It's a bit. It's a meme. He's doing a character, and he's even used this, doing a character defense to keep himself out of legal trouble, I guess, and also to get custody of his kids, and to continue profiting off of this garbage misinformation he panders, because really what he cares about is making the money. But unfortunately for Alex Jones, it looks like it's all finally caught up with him between the defamation lawsuit from the families of the victims of Sandy Hook and his accumulated fees for contempt of court after refusing to show up several days in a row. They have now spent over $10 million in legal fees, which is apparently either enough to push him kind of over the edge, or he's just been spending too much on giant desks. I don't really know. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe he's doing it to avoid having to pay up. He's like, I ain't give nobody money. I'm out shoot. I don't give nobody money. I'll go bankrupt first. And I'll be honest, guys. Like, I would like to believe that we aren't gonna see no more Alex Jones like that. Don't get me. That would be nice for me. But honestly, I don't think this is the end of him or even InfoWars for that matter. He'll probably just use all this publicity surrounding him at the moment to kind of just springboard a new campaign. It'll be a comeback. I mean, right back into peddling dietary supplements and whatever else his fan base buys into. And I guess I'll be right alongside here, pulling my hair out and going insane that people can actually believe this guy. Anyway, moving on. In other news regarding bad people profiting off of misinformation, Marjorie Taylor Greene is a person. She's the QAnon naughty representative from Georgia, and she's been getting into some hot water of her own after being questioned in a hearing regarding the January 6th Capitol riots, in which she repeatedly denied ever saying the things she was clearly visible on camera saying. And I gotta ask this for a minute. So, like, when are these politicians gonna realize that we can record them? Because, like, at a certain point, I mean, Biden did this too during his campaign. It's like, at a certain point, you gotta stop claiming to have never said something that you're clearly captured on video saying. Use a different excuse, like aliens. The aliens maybe do it, or Jewish space lasers. However, in an interview recently with a far-right Catholic, Michael Voris, MTG, went off on the Catholic Church, as well as Christians who help immigrants, claiming that they are being, quote, controlled by the devil. And this is a quote from her interview. We are supposed to love one another, but their definition of what love is, or what love one another means destroying our laws. Because who could forget the old passage of the Bible, honor thy constitution and don't amend shit. And if you help people, it better be legally. It's weird that like the Catholic Church of all things, you know, like of course, your problem with the Catholic Church is the one thing they're doing which isn't bad. But anyway, well, MTG, she's shown herself to be a true thorn in the side of all reasonable people. I kind of can't help but feel like this is all going to backfire on her, and possibly even the Republican Party as a whole. Because back in 2020, Marjorie Taylor Greene ran unopposed. But I can't help but think that, that ain't going to fly this time, It's almost certain that if she doesn't lose in the Republican primary, there's no way she's going to make it through the whole election now that people know what a crazy person she is. And honestly, the best thing that Republicans could be doing right now is working their tails off to get rid of these types of right-wingers and, present themselves as a more rational version of conservatism, Go back to even the Reagan era. He at least seemed reasonable, but at the same time, I don't know. Given the success that these kind of Trump-inspired maniacs have had, I suspect this is far from the last time we see her or even this type of person in office. I think we're going to see a lot more of this, especially in these right-wing places. We're going to see a lot of it in swing states, but especially in the obscure places which only ever vote Republican, like my state, South Dakota, we're going to keep seeing these crazy characters like, freaking Governor Kristi Noem. People like her are just going to keep on trying to make more of an impact than they have a right to, It's like, you're a governor. Stick to governing. Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay. Moving on. Latest news in misogyny. According to a leaked first draft of a decision from the Supreme Court, Roe v. Wade, that was weird. Roe v. Wade could possibly get rolled back come July. Now, while the ruling in and of itself is bad and terrible and threatens to set the precedent for undoing the last 50 years of progress, I kind of feel like the last thing anyone needs right now is another man giving their opinion on the situation. So I will instead take a step back from this, and I just kind of want to put on my classic skeptic hat and analyze what we actually know at the moment. Keep in mind, the last thing I'm trying to do here is undermine any fear felt by, by any women or people with uteruses who feel betrayed by these turn of events. Your feelings are valid. Instead, but I feel like over the course of the last 30 days between Twitter, clashing news sources, it's just resulted in a confusion as to what the facts are. Now, okay, for starters, this is the first draft of the decision. It's not the final draft, but they do have enough votes for the decision. So it's kind of weird, right? So apparently they can still, apparently this first draft, I don't know if they've already got the votes for it. So it presumably is going through come July, I believe was the date. But it's I don't know. It could mean that the final decision it'll be significantly less extreme, or it could be that this first draft is the final decision, and I don't know, they're gonna fix typos or something. I don't know. Maybe we'll get more specific. I don't understand. Nonetheless, essentially this ruling will almost certainly at least to some extent, extend the length to which individual states can kind of limit the reproductive rights of women, which is bad. I'm just gonna leave that tag on there because I don't want any confusion among the fan base. There are already state officials like Kristi Noem, who I was just talking about, who say that if Roe v. Wade is in fact shot down, they will go out of the way to pass right to life bills to force all pregnant people to carry to term. But one thing that I feel is kind of getting it's getting too much attention from the Republican sources and the Fox News guys, but it's getting no attention from most liberal sources, and I don't think it needs, it's not the most important thing here, but I find the fact that this ruling, this first draft was leaked, I find it interesting. I don't know if it actually if it actually will go anywhere, any investigations to it. But a common claim from Republicans is that the leak came from a liberal source to incite a backlash to the ruling to kind of stop it. Which it seems possible. I don't know. It's not. I mean, it's certainly a possibility, right? Maybe somebody is blowing the whistle on this, to let people know, and whether that's to kind of encourage people to maybe take voting in this midterm election more seriously. Maybe they want the backlash to try to stop this, stop this from passing. But it seems weird that we're just now hearing about it. Because if someone had insider information and was capable of leaking that information, I feel like they would have done it sooner if it was from a liberal source. That's what I would do if I was a leaker. I wouldn't wait until the decision was already made and then leak it. I would instead leak it before the decision was made and try to get the judges to change their mind, or change the rulings before the decision's been already made. It just seems weird. It seems weird that any activists, any liberal activists would choose now as the time. I'm not saying it's impossible. Just seems weird. Another possibility I've heard some suggest, and I don't want to make any claims here because I'm not a lawyer or connected at all to this actual how the possibility of these things could work and the likelihood and whatever. But some people have suggested it was one of the Republican judges who kind of knew that the ruling would be poorly received, and he leaked the first draft to make the final draft look less bad in comparison. Hey look, yeah, this ruling is bad, but hey look, it's not near as bad as this one, so maybe it'll discourage backlash against the ruling. And again, the important thing is the ruling in and of itself, not necessarily the way in which we found out about it. But at the same time, I'd be lying if I said I'm kind of interested. I want to know where it came from, just out of curiosity, But at the same time, I don't know. It doesn't matter that much to me. I'm just curious about it because I want to know. But anyway, given the nature of the Supreme Court in the last few years, it doesn't seem impossible to me. This could very well be the end of Roe v. Wade. But I'm also not certain that means we'll see the same rollback with LGBTQ and civil rights. That doesn't make this unimportant. That's not what I'm saying. But a lot of people have said, they're coming for your rights next, people who aren't women. You should be concerned about this too. It's you should be concerned about this too for empathy's sake, not because you're included in this too. But I get it. Sometimes the only way to get people to care about a thing you're going through is to find a way in which it affects them, which is, it sucks that that's the case, because you shouldn't have to show how reproductive rights benefit men to get men to care about it. And I'm not trying to dismiss anyone's fears regarding this. Any concerns you have regarding like LGBT and civil rights possibly getting rolled back, through Supreme Court, they're valid. Anger is an appropriate reaction to this news. But what's crazy is that this ruling was in place for 50 years and it still hasn't been codified in any federal law. And I don't know. I don't know how the whole law thing is. It's complicated, especially at a federal level. It's like, I don't know. But that's the thing, right? The support for rolling back Roe v. Wade nationally is like 30% of the population. So it seems crazy that this could happen, but at the same time, this is kind of what's been happening. It's like, people said, no way, Republicans aren't going to get rid of Roe v. Wade. And I was one of them. I was wrong. I will say that right now. I was wrong. What do you know? I always thought the Republicans would never get rid of Roe v. Wade because it's such a great enemy, They could just keep saying, oh, we don't have enough people to do it. But it turns out, apparently there's enough crazy people that one of those bastards decide to do it, And that's the thing. I think a lot of people didn't realize with, a lot of my fellow leftists, we didn't realize that, that people were actually serious about this. And don't get me wrong. I am fully aware that there are religious people who oppose Roe v. Wade and abortion rights for religious reasons, and they are very serious about them. They're not doing it for political power. They're not doing it for some kind of strawman high ground bullshit. But it's weird that such a fringe group has been able to get this much power. Like it's crazy. It's crazy to me. But hey, at least you get the joy of Vinny saying that he was wrong about something. I really never thought this would happen because the higher ups, they benefit from this so much, this ability to have this as a moral issue. Because how many single issue voters are there? There's a lot, and almost all of them is always abortion. That's always a thing. So many Republican people I know that don't care about gay marriage. They don't care. They fully support, LGBT rights, civil rights. They fully support, things like raising the minimum wage. The only reason they vote Republican is because of abortion. And I get that. And I don't really want to get into it right now as far as like the moral dilemma, whatever it is. Because again, I don't think that conversation should necessarily be ignored. But it's like it's something that as soon as you get into, instantly it's like it divides you. Like I probably, if I started explaining my position, I would lose 90% of people after the first paragraph, maybe even the first sentence, because like you have to start making distinctions. You have to decide what definition of life you're using, because technically every single cell of your body is a life. Like if those cells were off on their own, that would be life. But if are we talking about human life? Are we talking about the potential for human life? Are we talking about a living and breathing person? Are we talking about something that can feel pain? Does it matter? Should brain activity be counted? Should that be how we decide when a fetus is legally protected? Or and again, people who have these bullshit signs about 8 days a heartbeat. That's not a fucking heartbeat, because there's no heart. Can't be a heartbeat. There ain't no heart. That is literally a pulsing. It comes from the mother's heart. It is not a self-sufficient, viable offspring. It has the potential for that. And a lot of people use the potential, which I think is a really bad argument, but I understand where you're coming from. It's exhausting. It's exhausting. So I'm just going to move on to the final news. This is something that does not matter at all. But it bugs me for no reason, and I want to talk about something non-consequential. So Kim Kardashian, she recently wore Marilyn Monroe's most iconic dress to the Met Gala on the 60th anniversary of Marilyn's death. And thing about it is, first of all, it's kind of weird, right? Like, get your own damn dress. What are you doing? But at the same time, yes, I know. Doesn't matter, Vinny. Why are you even talking about it? Because it's just there's such opposites. Marilyn Monroe grew up in poverty. She was abused. Kim Kardashian had it all handed to her on a silver platter. They both had success in similar icons, but one of them just kind of got it handed to her. The other had to work for it, and I don't know. Sometimes it's best to just leave legends alone. But of course, all Kim cares about is getting more attention, because that's all these public figures are all about. And I am proving that by giving her attention on this podcast. But then again, who really cares? Nobody cares. What do you think? She's going to be like, oh, thank God, Friday was really talked about me. No, nobody cares. And with that out of the way, I would like to close off the news segment. And we will be right back with more Fridays with Vinny after this message from this week's sponsor. This episode of Fridays with Vinny is brought to you by Right Wing Theocracy. Are you tired of having rights and freedoms? Do you wish you could be forced to adhere to someone else's religious ideals in any and all parts of your life? Then Right Wing Theocracy might be for you. Hi, this is Vinny. And if you're like me, sometimes you get stressed out and tired of having to make your own decisions when it comes to your bodily autonomy. But now, ever since I found out about right-wing theocracy, I no longer have to worry about anything. Instead, every part of my life is now determined by old Republican assholes. Now I'm a happy working man who spends 50 hours a week at my job, going home to a wife who I hate and is also in every way inferior to me, while verbally and physically abusing my 11 children. But hey, at least the man upstairs will let me into heaven, unlike those goddamn liberals. So ask your doctor if right-wing theocracy is for you. They will almost definitely say no. And we're back. And it's time for the Internet Police's Tweet of the Week. Ladies and gentlemen, this week's tweet comes from none other than @MattGates. This was on May 4th. He said, how many of the women rallying against overturning Roe are overeducated, underloved millennials who sadly returned from protests to a lonely microwave dinner with their cats and no Bumble matches? Oh my God. First off, I love how he's using overeducated as an insult. It's like, goddamn, women always overeducated. Why do these type of people think that women's value comes from being loved or having some status as a wife or mother? Like maybe they're just living their life. Maybe they like going home, having their microwave dinner. Why do they need to be the cook? Gosh dang it, nothing wrong. If you don't want to cook, have your microwave dinner. Like you would never think of this as, oh, poor guy goes home to have his microwave dinner and play video games. That sounds like the life, man. Sounds like the goddamn life. No Bumble matches, good. Ain't nobody interested in that. No time for dating. What the heck is wrong with you? Once again, these people try to insult somebody, and all they do is come across as a bunch of morons. It drives me up the wall. I gotta do a video about Matt Gaetz sometime. He is a character, and also probably a bit of a pedophile, and also just a bit of a creep in general. He's not a good person. Fuck that guy. All right. let's move on, my friends. Oh my gosh, that hurt my brain a little bit. Let's move on to this week's recommendations.
I recommend the lobster.
So this week, my friends, I've got some recommendations for you guys. I've been watching this new show. It's called Monk. It was kind of written. One of the writers for it was Tom Sharpling, who is a comedian, kind of, I guess, a radio comedian who I love. His podcasts are amazing. I like them a lot. And yeah, it amazes me that this is the only TV gig that he's ever gotten, because it's amazing. It's an amazing show. I love it a lot. For those of you who don't know, it's like this murder mystery show, but it's also a comedy, but it's also got drama in there. So it's like, I don't know, it's not like it's like over the top comedy. It's like so brilliantly written in the way that it, like, you know, the comedy is from situations rather than, like, you know, funny jokes constantly being thrown at you, you know? So, yeah. Yeah, I've really been enjoying this show. So, check that out. And in this week's old album recommendation, Naked Baby Photos by Ben Folds 5. It's an album that they released after they broke up, in between that era where they didn't have anything. It was just kind of a compilation of, like, their early work, and it's one of my favorite Ben Folds 5 albums, which I know there aren't that many, but, like, I always go back to it because I really like hearing, like, people's early work. I really enjoy, like, their live stuff that they recorded, you know, of songs that never really released as studio versions because they don't really work. Yeah. And also, Eddie Walker is a song which I can't believe that it wasn't on their first album, because it's a really good song. I like it a lot. Yeah. What else to say? Last but not least, George Ezra. I talked about him a lot on the podcast before, but he released a new single called Green Green Grass. It's from his new upcoming album, Gold Rush Kid. I'm really excited about it because, yeah, I really like his music a lot. All the singles he's been releasing recently are fantastic. I've really been enjoying them, and I'm excited to see what he's gonna do next. You know, it's great that he's finally doing more music. You know, he's someone that hardly ever shows up, and so it's nice to see. It's nice to see that the music is still alive. He's still with us. He's still giving us these positive vibes. But anyway, my friends, I think that this is going to be it for the podcast this week. As always, if you have any questions, comments, concerns which you would like to send in, and you can leave them in the comments, obviously, because I do read those and I try to respond to them on the on the show. But if I don't get to them, the easiest way to get me to do it is to send your questions in to contact@vinnyhard.com. Just drop me a line. Let me know what's on your brain, what you'd like to hear me discuss. And anyway, that is going to be it. As always, guys, I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Have a great week. I will see you back next Friday, once again, right here with another episode. Yeah, thank you as always. I love you. Love yourselves. And I'll see you next Fridays with Vinny. Fridays with Vinny is a production of Vinny, written and produced by Vinny, starring Vinny. Special thanks to Vinny. Music provided by Kevin Magliotti of Incompetech.com. Vinny is not responsible for the views and opinions expressed by Vinny or at any parallel dimensions by other Vinnies using parallel podcasts in any alternate universes. Vinny is a property of Vinny Productions LLC and was used with permission. Send your questions, comments, and death threats into contactvinnyhard.com. And until next time, this is Vinny Hard signing off.